With the media process successfully completed, we can quite rightly move on to looking at the video editor with great confidence that it can do the job. So to me, I think the first thing you should look at is the interface and see how the workflow is supposed to work. So first thing, you have 3 workspaces, and by default this will look into the edit workspace, and you have this discovery center which I'll go into later. Now the edit workspace has 3 panels. This is the previewer, the project content and task. This is where you manage everything about what you're going to do, and also the tasks. And finally the product panel, and this is where you organize all that content to form the product you want to make or publish. So let's see how all this works together. First, let's go to the Discovery Center. This is a very good tool because not only can you find more assets to put into your project, it also has a learning center where you can learn more about the product you have. Currently, as you can see, it's set for the video, and you've got a nice forum here in a community where you can learn tips and tricks. So let's look at the Capture Workspace. You've got various devices that are supported. If you have one of those devices, you can get content from that device and put into your project, or you can capture from the screen, or you can create your own narrative and then put that into your project. The edit workspace we've already seen and come back to, and this is your publish workspace. Again, you will have a previewer here so you can see the project you're about to publish. The information about the hard drive here, I find this section is a large section but a wasted space. There's so much you could put there. And this is the actual panel that does all the work. First, you've got the various types of platforms you can target to, and by default it's the computer. And with each target you pick, there are a set of options. And in the case of the computer, you've got options of what formats and standards you want to render your project to. You're given a profile which you must select. It gives you information about that profile, and then it gives you a brief synopsis of that profile. Now you probably will need to tweak that per project, so you can tweak that here, and if you do so you can save it, so cutting yourselves time to making a new one. And as you can see, these are the other targets that you can go for. So let's go back to the edit workspace. More specifically, let's look at the project content and task. Now I'd like to go into the workflow. So first, on the very left, you have all the tasks that you do, from project to enhancements and special effects. So we're in the project mode to start off with, and when you've got a selected one, you get these set of options that you could possibly do within that task, and then you get the content space. Now here you've got the content that's in your project, or the assets that you have for that project, and then you have some control bar which gives you functions. Now in this case, you've got 2 ways of adding media to or assets to your project. These are the 2. Basically, they're just explorers that allow you to put in content from either the network or your drive. And then you have some filter functions, so you can just filter out the video or image or audio, so you can just look at the various types of content, especially if you've got a large. You can adjust the view type from list to thumbnails and the size of thumbnails. And this orange icon here is a nice little feature which allows you to go on the web and purchase more assets for your project. Overall, this left to right process just hangs true throughout the entire, or consistent throughout the entire project content and task workplane. Now let's move to the previewer. Now the previewer basically has this control panel below. This bar here is the timeline, and you have an endpoint to the timeline which you can control using this bracket, and the out point of the timeline can be controlled and set by this bracket. So you can use these 2 brackets to control the timeline or trim the actual clip here, and you can either view the whole thing from a project perspective or from the clip you're working on. So it's a very powerful previewer here. You can also make this previewer full screen mode, and the timestamp here is a very good indicator to give you information about the clip you're working on. And you even have a full screen function. Moving on to the product space, They all generally have this timeline mode, and the timeline is governed by tracks, and in the case of Corel they are media specific. Many are media specific. You have a primary track on the top and you work down. You can control what kind of tracks you want and what view you want, be it timeline or storyboard. This control bar here is useful. There's many functions of interest here, but one in particular is motion tracking, which is what I want in my requirements. Again, on this side you can scale how the timeline is viewed and how the content you put in this product space can be viewed. So in anger, I'm just going to give a few play arounds. Now another thing you can do with these panels is you see these dots all over on the corner of each panel. If you grab out of a dot, you can reorganize the layout, which I do like because we all are different, and you can actually organize this to suit the way you want to think. So that's a good affirmation as far as I'm concerned with the interface. Not only did it do well in the game anime test, but it's done well here. It's got 3 stars because I haven't tried it out in anger, and it's another one of those interfaces that it potentially could be best in class. I do like it and I think it's good. Well done, Corel, on this interface.